Oh, so my sleeping hours have adjusted because I wake up early to record this podcast, this little ditty, this show. And so I woke up this morning to a lot of texts. What could everybody have possibly been reaching out to me about? What could be so important that my phone was lit up all night? Well, at 10:26 p.m., Jeff Passan tweeted, "Breaking. Slugger Pete Alonso and the New York Mets are in agreement on a free agent contract, sources tell ESPN." Pete Alonso's deal with the New York Mets, which is pending a physical, is for 2 years and includes an opt-out after the first season. He'll make $30 million the first season. In total, Pete Alonso's deal is worth it will guarantee him $54 million over 2 years, sources tell ESPN. I'm going to give just a couple seconds here on, yes, this fit makes a ton of sense. Yes. A bat behind Juan Soto in the lineup. Yes. Good. Everything's good. This is the biggest Scott Boras loss, L, he's ever taken in his career. 2 years, $54 million after Pete Alonso turned down 7 years, $158 million 2 years ago. We're talking about 5 less years, and we're talking about $100 million less. This is the biggest L Scott Boras has ever taken in his time being an agent in Major League Baseball. You cannot tell me otherwise. I'd be so curious to know what happened behind these scenes. Did Scott Boras really sign off on this? This is antithetical to anything Scott Boras preaches philosophically about his free agents. He preaches patience, waiting it out. We've seen last season, we saw Matt Chapman, we saw Jordan Montgomery. They signed much later into the offseason. Blake Snell, much later. And so something had to have given here. And this is a turning point for Scott Boras clients. David Stearns and Steve Cohen made Scott Boras look like a clown. I don't want this to be an anti-Pete rant here. He obviously ultimately agreed to this deal. Pete's missteps were not accepting the offer 2 seasons ago when he was offered 7 years, $158 million. That was misstep number 1. Misstep number 2 was likely hiring Scott Boras after that, because he was not the right guy for this negotiation. It was a perfect storm. And David Stearns put on a masterclass. A masterclass. Again, anybody who doubts David Stearns and Steve Cohen, you're out of your mind. You are out of your mind. This is going to be a lot of patting myself on the back. This is going to be a lot of Obama medal medal being placed on Obama for whatever prize he got. A lot of memes can be used for what I'm about to do. I told everybody several times on this show, I have it in recording, patience, wait. The Mets signed JD Martinez a week before the season started last year. Patience. You need to have patience. It would be dumb for the Mets to negotiate against themselves. And David Stearns and Steve Cohen had patience. They pivoted, whatever that's supposed to mean. I'm not sure who fed that to Andy Martino, said they pivoted and then said they were on the 10-yard line with the Blue Jays. I was the one who said he nixed that deal. You don't think the Blue Jays offered him something better than 2 years, $54 million? I mean, we're talking about instant reaction here. I literally found out about this 20 minutes ago. A half hour ago now. It's 5:31. I woke up at 5 and I saw the news. I had a tweet earlier this offseason, pretty much just when it started, and they were talking a lot about Juan Soto. Most of the news was centered around Juan Soto. And I said, whatever happens with Juan Soto, the Mets will never be out on Pete Alonso. He is more than just trying to fill a roster spot. He is emotional for the fans. I'm sure there's some sort of emotional aspect for Steve Cohen. I said they will never be out on him. And when Andy Martino said they've pivoted to plan B, I laughed and I tweeted, that's just not the case. And I told you all, he did not want to play for the Blue Jays. He would have been a Blue Jay 2 weeks ago if that were the case. He did not want to be a Toronto Blue Jay. Mark Healy, if you're listening, you were wrong. I don't blame Martino. He's being fed information from Boris. He's being fed information from Steve Cohen. I don't blame him. But man, what a saga this was. What a saga. Again, crazy to think that they pulled this off. And it clears way for them to have the leverage next offseason. If they want to sign Vladdy, they still could do it. Unless he decides not to opt out. And even if he doesn't decide to not to opt out, stick Pete at DH and sign Vladdy. Anybody who complained owes David Stearns, owes Steve Cohen. All those who booed David Stearns, boo you! Boo! I cannot believe you had the audacity to boo David Stearns at Amazing Day. I can't believe it. I got made fun of for saying you're ungrateful. You are ungrateful. Steve Cohen spends $800 million on Juan Soto and you go and boo David Stearns. And he ultimately gets it done with Pete Alonso. Boo you! Oh, I'm hot this morning. And so now, man, this Mets team, where do they rank? I don't even know. The lineup is really, really, really solid. It's essentially the same lineup as last year, plus you put Juan Soto in there, and that lineup went to the NLCS. So, I mean, make of that with you what you will. But Carlos Mendoza knows what he's going to be doing with this lineup. Stick Juan Soto right in the middle there, and you're cooking. Are they going to make one more addition to the rotation? We shall see. They're now comfortably over the luxury tax, which clearly they were okay with. But man, this was insane. 2 years, $54 million. Okay. Let's move on. I was nervous I was going to spend an entire half hour just getting my reaction out, getting my thoughts out, but we've got about 10 minutes here down, and that is not the case.